Hello everybody, welcome back to Quick Capsule Review. I'm going to show you a little scene here and see if you can guess today's theme. That's right everyone, William Shakespeare. Finally done right. So that was a little clip from the Ralph Fiennes film Coriolanus. And that is one of the first ones, the very first one we're going to talk about. So, turn on my light here. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Happy Ides of March. I'm recording this on March 15th. Hopefully, you'll see it very soon. Perhaps still mid-March. Maybe even St. Patrick's Day. But anyway, I just wanted to, in honor of the Ides of March, I guess that's more of a Julius Caesar thing, but it always reminds me of Shakespeare. I wanted to discuss a few of these films today, and just Shakespeare in general. To be full disclosure, I've seen all these films, but not lately. Usually I like to refresh myself right before doing a quick capsule review, but I also just wanted to touch on Shakespeare in cinema in general. But we'll start with Coriolanus. To my knowledge, it's the only film directed by Ralph Fiennes. And it's fantastic. The story, I'm not even going to go into the story that much of any of these. You've got one tragedy and two romantic comedies, I guess. The Shakespearean comedies of Love's Labour's Lost and Much Ado About Nothing. I like all the Shakespeare stuff. But both genres. I guess I prefer the tragedies. I think most people do. And I've yet to see some of the more famous cinematic versions, like Kenneth Branagh in particular, who brought us the middle movie here, Love's Labour's Lost. He did just an absolutely stunning King Henry V, where he famously inverted oh God, I can't even remember the Sir Laurence Olivier. Who I think directed himself to an Oscar in that film. But the big St. Crispin's Day speech, it was, Laurence Olivier was cool because it started on Henry and drifted out and showed the army, whereas the same speech in Kenneth Branagh's version started on the army and it zoomed in closer and closer to him as he spoke. Little subtle things like that can keep the subgenre of Shakespeare movies fresh. Coriolanus has some amazing action set pieces in it, more so than I've seen in any other Shakespeare movie. I remember watching it, and he's running around gunning down everything in sight with his little army unit, and I'm like, wait, this is nutritional. This feels like a guilty pleasure, but it's Shakespeare. This is great. I'd never actually read the play or seen the play perform before seeing the movie, but basically it's about a general named Coriolanus who comes into political power, but he's sort of generally sort of betrayed by his own people, and has this weird sort of he's a mixture between the world's greatest badass and a complete mama's boy. It's a very challenging role, and only someone with the intensity and just kind of blank creepiness of Ralph Fiennes could have really done it justice. So, there's something to be said for him as a great director of casting, because when he cast himself to play this role, it was perfect. And who was it? Gerard Butler as the enemy general, who they later sort of team up after their stellar knife fight that you just saw. Or partially saw because of the glare. The two of them sort of form an uneasy alliance that lasts the rest of the movie. And I believe it's Vanessa Redgrave that plays his mother. Just fantastic, really well done, all the way around. The most action-packed Shakespeare I've seen. I recently bought Titus by Anthony Hopkins because I've always had a sort of a bizarre desire to, assuming we do more actor figure movies like Payback Time. I always thought that Titus Andronicus would be a good fit for the Stormbreaker films brand, just because it's one of the it's a little bit more obscure than most Shakespeare stuff, and it's also probably arguably the most violent. And I think it would be fun to do that in action figure form. So that's all. I guess I'm letting the cat out of the bag a little bit by talking about that, but that's something that is sort of on the short list of feature films we might do down the road as time allows. So let's move on to Love's Labor. Pardon me, COVID's acting up. Just kidding. Love's Labor's Lost. This was a really ambitious film from Kenneth Branagh, who had done a ton of Shakespeare stuff before this one. But this one, like he really tried to, I guess, lighten it up, and there's a really intense musical number in the middle of this that's sort of like weirdly some hybrid of like burlesque and cabaret, called Let's Face the Music and Dance. I recommend you look it up and check that one out and check that scene out. But he clearly just had a lot of fun doing Shakespeare. I mean, he churned out like 5 or 6 Shakespeare movies. Like I said, that the 4-hour long Hamlet, where he just leaned in and had like just everyone in the world. Like I think Robin Williams even was in there. Like it just had a billion huge actors in it, and it looked really sumptuous. I've still never seen that one. That's been on my to watch list for so long. And I do look forward to doing that one. I also recently bought his version of Much Ado About Nothing, which starred Keanu Reeves and Denzel Washington, or co-starred them. And I wanted to say just something real quick. So we have 2 directors on this episode who directed Marvel movies. Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor, and Joss Whedon, of course, directed Avengers and Avengers 2. And I just want to point out that I object fully and wholeheartedly to the white erasure that happens in Hollywood, where they do something like Thor and they cast Idris Elba as a Norse god named Heimdall. I hate that kind of bullshit. And it's nothing against Idris Elba. In fact, I've always thought he would be a great James Bond if they would just cast him in that role, and because he's actually British, like that would make sense. But it does not make sense for him to play a Norse god. And obviously they have the MCU has its own side mythology, but a lot of it they just got wrong out of the gate. Like the saying that they had some high technology instead of magic. It's like, yeah, really? You got a stealth bomber in your hammer, Thor? Is that how it works? But as stupid and idiotic as and cultural Marxist as that move is to recast Norse gods with black actors, I do not in any way, shape, or form blame Kenneth Branagh for that decision, even if it was his decision, because he comes from a theater background, and you cannot worry about race in theater in terms of like whether it makes sense or not. It does not matter. You can't have like every great black actor in the world just waiting to play Othello, and shut them out of every other thing. Like that would be stupid. So, when he has somebody like Denzel in one of these movies, I forgot who the black gentleman is in Love's Labor's Lost. That to me, that's just him from the theater background. So when he directs Heimdall, it's just like, oh, that's just Branagh, being theater guy. But, as soon as the next person directs it, it's like, God damn it, this is stupid. So anyway, I am somewhat of an apologist for that particular move, just because of his history in theater. And anyway, Love's Life. Anyway, I remember it being kind of below his. I don't think he does the comedies as well as the dramas, but it was entertaining and it was original. And he tried to have a little spring in his step when he approached the material, and I really respect that. And lastly, let's talk about Much Ado About Nothing. This is probably gonna be a real short episode. Where are we at? Like, what? Oh my God, have I been rambling for 10 minutes? Jesus Christ. Much Ado About Nothing. So this one really intrigues me. Joss Whedon has this weird history of when he has time off, he just makes movies. Like when he did there's a writer's strike, so he did Dr. Horrible's sing along blog with Nathan Fillion and um, They're Afraid, whatever that guy's name is. Anyway, he he did that during the writer's strike, and then Much Ado About Nothing was birthed from when he did the Avengers. He decided to just basically have a working vacation where he invited a bunch of friends up to his house, and they just filmed Shakespeare. And it had a lot of great things going for it. Firstly, Alexis Denisof was actually in Avengers in a very, very small bit part as the creepy guy who's talking to Thanos, and he's completely ensconced in makeup, so you can't even see him. And then Amy Acker was from Dollhouse, as well as was she in Angel? Yeah, in Angel. So the two of them were in Angel together, and then you had some other really fun stuff like Nathan Fillion and Tom Lank had a great chemistry together as a couple goof off ne'er do wells. And there's just a ton of, I think Clark Peters, who plays Agent Coulson, he's in this one. Even like the girl who was thanking Captain America, I think on set he's just like, hey, what are you doing after Avengers? You want to come chill out at my mansion? Probably this whole movie was just done to pick up that one girl, from what we know about Whedon now. But there was a lot of love put into this film, and it was highly enjoyable. I like the fact it was it was done so on the cheap. Like it just looks like a low budget porno, but there's something endearing about it, and it's definitely a worthy cult hit, worth checking out. Just the cast alone is worth checking out, because every 3 seconds you're going to see somebody you know. Well, that's about it for our little Shakespeare tribute today. Hope everyone is doing all right and enjoying your mid-March festivities. Go spend your COVID checks on some good Shakespeare stuff, and belly up to the bard with me. And we're gonna catch you again in April, and hopefully, I think TD may have a couple of videos lined up, either between then and now, or interspersed with the next quick capsule. We're still going to try to get on board the Dinosaur Forest and Hollywood Upcycling train this year. I'm just getting the last little kinks out. Touched base with Kelly recently. It was good to see him, and hopefully we can get some more material out for you guys. It's been a crazy year for all of us, and hopefully we'll see things even out a little bit in 2021. So we will check in with you guys later. Das Vidania, y'all.